أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. ربي يسر ولا تؤثر وتمم بالخير. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, my brothers in the Deen Fitness community. Thank you for your patience and welcome back to another step on the roadmap to fitness in the Deen Fitness Process. We are going to be experiencing waypoint number 2, exercise. And exercise, as I mentioned, is really only about 20% of the effort to return to fitness. 80%, 75 to 80% is really in the diet, which we've covered in depth. But we still have a lot more to cover in that area, and we will as we go through the process. But I needed to move us on into the next area, which is exercise. Now, before I begin, I wanted to remind you about the whole premise of the Deen Fitness Process in this community. And the premise is that, we need to increase and improve our worship to Allah Azza wa Jal. And many of us are here because either we are lacking in that area or we recognize that we've done things to our body which is an amana from Allah, and we want to correct it. We want to be the best versions of ourselves in the hopes of pleasing Allah, taking care of this trust that He gave us, drawing nearer to Him, seeking His forgiveness and mercy by taking care of our body, and then continuing on this righteous path to piety and fulfilling our obligations to Allah. The end result of that is really that we are elevated in our ranks in this life and the hereafter. So, inshallah, back to the premise is that we want to worship Allah through our exercise. We want to turn our exercise into a form of ibadah, okay, among the many other forms of ibadah that we are obligated to and are voluntary to perform. So, by way of going about turning exercise into a form of ibadah, we have to make intention. So, once we make this intention, then we make dua to Allah to help us, guide us through. Now you come into the actual steps, the action. What do I do? How do I begin? Well, we already worked on the diet part, so now we're going to work on the exercise part. Before I get into all of the components of the roadmap, the waypoint number 2, exercise, I want to tell you a little story, and that's about me losing 60 pounds. More than 60 pounds, actually, but realizing at some point in my life 5 years ago that, wow, I had done a lot of damage to myself. I couldn't understand why I was so tired and fatigued. And brothers, just visualize for a second, 60 pounds of weight on your body is like carrying a 60-pound rucksack, okay? I've served in the military and I've had to carry heavy rucksacks, some 50, 60 pounds. But imagine having to carry that everywhere you go, into the shower, into the pool, into the gym, into the restaurant, every single place that you go. 60 pounds every single minute of the day, every day. That's what carrying extra weight is like. So it's a very damaging, painful experience. When I was at that point, then I realized that I had to do something. I didn't know what to do. And I just knew that, okay, people stopped eating, people went to the gym, people did certain things to lose weight. Brothers, I spent a year or more doing and trying all of it to understand and to get this weight off of me, because I wanted to be a better mu'min, a better believer, a better worshiper. I wanted to do the things that I needed to do. So I made a lot of mistakes. I didn't understand any of the science about building muscle, about burning fat, about losing weight, about eating correctly. But over the next 4 years, I spent a lot of time doing research. I found the two main influencers that I mentioned to you before, and I stuck with them and I listened to all of the videos and experimented. The reason I'm sharing the information to you is because you don't have 4 to 5 years to go try to figure it out yourself. So I want to share my experience with you so you have this same benefits that I have in a shorter amount of time. Okay? And what is the main benefit I'm talking about? I'm not talking about just losing 60 pounds and the aesthetics of being slimmer and being able to do more. I'm talking about the experience of exercise as a form of ibadah. Bro, I'm trying to tell you that this is an amazing way to use your time to be fit, but also to worship Allah, to constantly think of Allah and think of the Sunnah and think of, everything that Allah has blessed you with and everything, all of the great examples that were in the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and that we were encouraged and actually decreed to do, how to eat, how to treat our bodies, what type of sports to be involved in. And so I want you, my hope, inshallah, with Allah's permission, that you will get to the point where you're doing any form of activity, any exercise, and you will make the connection as a form of ibadah because you're doing it for that purpose, and you will reap the benefit of the dunya part of it, the physicality and the great feeling and the health, but then you will reap the rewards in the hereafter, and that is key. So, with that said, let me just go over really quickly the points on the waypoint of exercise. Now, these are things that I had never known or never heard of before in my life, and I'm going to mention them quickly here. I don't have a lot of time in this video. I don't want to spend too much time in the video going through each one in depth. And I will encourage you, and I will also coach you as we go through the process on what these things mean and how best to utilize them. Now, previously, I mentioned that in order to attack an objective, you have to use a combined effort. You have to bring in all of your weapon systems, all of your teams, all of your resources, okay? And you have to go after that objective with a combined effort. And so I got to a point in my exercise program where I was doing all of these simultaneously, okay? And then I would eliminate what I felt was not working or was not useful or sustainable for me to continue doing. But I want to tell you that I did all of them together, okay? If you do one, you do two, you do three, you might have some limited success. But if you do more than that and you do as many as you can, you will achieve success, inshallah, faster, and you will see better results. Now, important thing to note, you have to combine all of these things together with the diet. So if your diet is not on point, then you will not have optimal results, because putting good nutrition in your body helps to deal with the shock and the recovery and the increased demand that your body is going to have now that you are stressing it out and putting it through exercise. Okay, so let's start with the first one, which is NEAT. I had no idea what NEAT was and what it meant, but it stands for Non-Exercise Activity Thermogenesis. Now, this is a form of just simple movement throughout the day that is burning fat. Your body is in a naturally fat-burning state when you're not eating. And so when you're doing things like just moving, walking around, vacuuming your house, taking out the trash, walking your dog or something like that of that nature, those are all considered part of NEAT, okay? These are things that will burn energy and burn fat when you're not eating and helps you to lose weight and lose body fat. And we will get into each of these more. Now, there's another thing, it's called the thermic effect of food. And what it simply means is that you are consuming foods that require your body to use a lot more energy to consume. So they burn calories more than another type of food. So there are certain types of food that we will get into where you will be encouraged to use those to increase your calorie burn. And those calories, inshallah, hopefully, they come from body fat, okay? Because that's a source of extra energy that you have stored over time. So, thermic effect of food relates to certain foods that cause your body to burn more calories. Now, sauna was a big lever, a big trick that I was able to use, and there are many different techniques to use in the sauna to help you burn fat and get healthier. Not just the fat burning benefits, but there are many other benefits you get from what are called heat shock proteins being released when you are in the sauna. So sauna for me was another resource that I used in order to burn fat and lose weight. And for example, there are techniques where you could spend 10 minutes and then a 5-minute break outside and then 10 minutes back in the sauna, and you do that 4 times in an hour, and you get incredible fat burning benefits. And this is something that lasts throughout the day. And like I said, not just the fat burning, but benefits related to blood pressure regulation and other things that we will get into more. On the flip side of that, I didn't know that cold showers can help me to burn fat. And the mechanism by how that works is it causes your body to have a chill, and then that increases the brown fat, which is the healthy fat in your body. It turns white fat, which is the one under your skin and around your visceral area. It turns it into brown fat, which is a fat that your body uses and is important for regulating your hormones and different things in your body. So cold showers and cold dipping, when people go into like ice baths and stuff like that, that is very, very beneficial for you. We will talk more about that. Zone 2 in exercise. Zone 2 relates to the certain heart rate that you want to be in, which is the fat burning zone. And this is a certain heart rate where you can tell, because there's a mathematical formula that you use to figure out your age and your heart rate. And if you are working out in this zone, you are strictly burning fat. Okay, you're pulling from your fat resources for your energy. If you go above this zone, then you are using other resources. And if you go for too long, there's a point of diminishing return, and you start to burn muscle. So you need to understand that about working out. If you're working out hard in that zone 3 and zone 4 and zone 5 zones, you could potentially be burning muscle. So you want to maximize the zone areas, and zone 2 is the best for burning fat. Now, fidgeting is related to something, like we mentioned earlier about non-exercise activity thermogenesis. But fidgeting is this type of situation where you're just sitting and you're shaking your leg, or you're moving your hand or moving the mouse on a computer, or you're even just playing a video game, or you're scrolling on your phone, or you're in the kitchen cutting up onions, or you're just walking and pointing, or doing something with your hand or your leg. That's called fidgeting, and it's these body movements that use calories. Okay, and it's been found through science that people that fidget actually end up burning a lot of body fat and are actually in very good shape. Okay, so we will talk more about fidgeting, and you will use it in your arsenal. Now, for the last 4 years of exercise, I have always been doing my exercises fasted. Okay, I don't like to work out with food in my stomach. Okay, I don't like, that's a very uncomfortable feeling. But never mind what I like. The point about fasted exercise is that you force your body to go into energy stores a lot faster than if you had been fed and have some food in your body that's being digested, and so on and so forth. Okay, fasted exercise taps into the resources quicker. Okay, now sleep. Sleep, brothers. So many brothers are not getting enough sleep. I mean, this is like it's like an epidemic. It's like a crisis. Okay. Now I protect my sleep. I guard it like a vicious dog. Okay. I have to get 8 hours of sleep a night, or a maximum of maybe 8 to 10 in a day. Okay. That means that I will take 7 hours of sleep at night, and then I will do a 3 hour nap or some combination thereof. But brothers, sleep is where the most fat is being burned and your recovery process is going under. And if you're working out and then you're not sleeping, then you're not giving your body recovery, which is essential for building muscle and preserving muscle and burning fat. Okay, so sleep, sleep. Guard your sleep viciously. Okay. Now supplements, I never knew anything about supplements, and I went through a whole set of different types. But again, I stuck with the two influencers, Thomas DeLauer and Dr. Eric Berg. And what it amounted to for me, the most powerful supplements that I would be able to use would be like my protein supplements. And then I used L-carnitine, which I'll talk about more. I used B12, and I didn't use much more than that, other than some other organic things, which I will get to. But supplementation is fine. In many cases, it's necessary, and in many cases, you just need to do your research and understand what you're getting into. And we're not talking about illegal supplements. We're talking about all natural and healthy organically existing supplementation. Another one that I did was EAAs, essential amino acids. I've talked about that a little bit already, and so those are helpful and useful and allowed and encouraged. Now, with resistance training, which is the big piece of exercise, bros, I gotta tell you, you must understand that there is no pain, there is no gain without pain. Okay, and to build muscle and get leaned out, you do have to tear the muscle. It's called hypertrophy. Okay, and you have to understand that process and be very careful about how you go about it, tearing the muscle, you doing certain resistance training exercises, which we'll get into, and then giving it enough rest, knowing when to stop, knowing how many reps, how many sets, and either working with a coach or studying it very carefully and learning proper form to build muscle. When you build muscle, muscle is dense, and it actually, to carry and maintain that muscle, your body burns calories, okay? It burns fat. So this concept of replacing fat with muscle, it's true to a certain extent. So the more muscle you pack on, the more calories, and your BMR rate goes up, and so you're naturally burning more throughout the day, okay? So we will get very deep into resistance training, what types of exercises I used. I told you before that I followed Arnold Schwarzenegger's chest program workout, and then I listened to Mike Menser about the whole philosophy of building muscle and how much you need to do, when you need to do it. And so I followed those with success, alhamdulillah. The next couple things are caffeine. Okay, caffeine is a fat burner, because what it does is it causes lipolysis, which is the process of fat being released, fat cells being broken up and released into your bloodstream, which then get used for energy. So caffeine helps with that, and it's also a good stimulant for helping you to give you energy and get you moving. We will get deep into caffeine discussion more. Also, when you are done working out and now you're trying to get your diet on track, the quality of your food is going to directly affect how you build muscle. Look, if you go to the gym and you work out, but then you go to Burger King and have a double Whopper, that double Whopper is not going to convert into a muscle. Okay, you're not going to see your biceps grow because of Burger King. So food quality is so important. If you start the program, you have to start your diet. So you cannot do anything halfway or haphazard or just pick one or two things, and you're not going to be effective. Okay, I learned that over the course of 4 years. Food quality, organic, clean, halal, no ultra processed stuff. It has to be on point in order for the exercise to take. in order for the muscles to be built. Okay. I already mentioned about aerobic training and cardio, and aerobic training and cardio is so important. We saw in the one video where cardio helps to build muscle. It creates the situation, it sets the conditions for muscles to be built, for you to be able to do more and build muscle. So cardio and aerobic training is so key to the exercise part of this this roadmap. Okay, calorie deficit. Now, some time ago, and I'm not sure if you all remember, but it takes 1 pound of weight is equivalent to about 3,500 calories. Okay, so if I want to lose a pound in a week, then I have to take and divide that 3,500 calories over 7 days, and I have to drop my intake of calories by about 500 calories per day. That's the simple expression of calorie deficit. It's lowering your caloric intake and requirement from that BMR down by a certain amount so that over the average of a week you can see that reduction. Okay, you have less to sustain the body, so then the body switches over to burning fat. Now, in some cases, you might burn a little bit of muscle, but now if you go back into the gym and you work out and you consume a lot of protein, then you will counter that effect, and then you will start to see fat loss and muscle gain. So that's calorie deficit. We'll go more into that. Rest and recovery. If you go to the gym today and you work out and you tear some muscle and you have hypertrophy, you're not going into the gym tomorrow. That would defeat the whole purpose, because you're just going to tear it more, and you will be at the point where you're going to be either in injury, or you just will not have the gains and the muscle building environment in your body to create good muscle. So recovery is so important. Yes, it's hard. When you start this process, man, you don't want to take a day off. You don't want to go 2 days without working out, but you have to. And that's why a plan and a schedule is critical to success. Okay. One of the biggest triggers, biggest levers, biggest tricks, if you want to call it, that I used to lose weight was hiking. Man, you talk about being able to do tafakkur and move out into the earth, walk in places and hiking and appreciating Allah's creation and thinking about Allah, and even reciting, ayahs from the Quran, or thinking about the Prophet ﷺ and his life, hiking miles, just to burn, use energy and just keep going and thinking and getting that alone time, isolation time in your thoughts, and feeling the benefit of you can travel so far and see all the beauty and go to a different place. Hiking is a huge component of Waypoint 2 exercise. Okay, and I encourage you to start finding ways to do that and spend as much time as you can doing it, because it is actually in some cases better than some of the other stuff that we mentioned. Okay, yoga is kind of the same. Okay, a lot of people have some reservations about doing yoga. I did a little bit of yoga to help me, and I will tell you it helps with the next one, stretching and flexibility. Because if you're like me in my late 50s, about to get into my 60s, one of the things that happens with older men is they start to slow down because you don't have that flexibility, and you haven't been stretching, and your muscles are stiff, your body is stiff, you don't have the strong skeletal muscle to keep your frame straight and in certain positions, allowing you to do certain movements. And so you see a lot of older men in their 50s and 60s unable to move and do things properly. And this is because from a young age, you're not keeping that flexibility. You're not building, through stretching and yoga and other types of flexibility exercises. Okay. So that's kind of it. There is no real prescription for how to go about the becoming fit and developing an exercise program. I'm giving you my roadmap, okay, about figure out where you are, get the baseline. Then from that baseline, you establish your goals. Where do you want to fix? What do you want to fix? How long You give yourself the amount of time and schedule it out, and then you plan out your resistance training and your cardio, and then you add in all of these other techniques and these other tricks to get there. And that's basically the prescription slip for how to get back to being fit. The whole time you're making dua and you're asking Allah to help you because you appreciate this amana that He gave you. You want to appreciate it more, and you want to get to the point where you're able to bench press 150 pounds or even more, your weight or more, and you're thinking, oh, subhanallah, wow, I was never able to do this before. Allah has given me the strength. Then you look in the mirror and you see the aesthetic changes happening, and then you appreciate, like, Allah gave me this muscle, this physicality. I can lift things. I can help my brother. I can pull my friend from a burning vehicle if I need to. I can stop a carjacking. I can, or at least interfere somehow to help in a crisis situation. Okay, so you start to understand that your body is a blessing and it's a ni'mah. Your health is a ni'mah, and you need to take care of it. And then you start to appreciate it. So things happen at the same time. Right? As you start to go along through the process, you start to transform, and then you start to appreciate more, and then you make more dua, and you thank Allah, shukr Allah more, and then it all just starts to get more better and better and over time. And alhamdulillah, you're like I am right now. I just want to share it with you, and you should be sharing it with your family, right? About, we already talked about how you can help your family by keeping toxic foods out of the house, and you can help them with an exercise program, get them out walking. And I encourage my wife, and she encourages me, and we encourage each other and our children. And it's an ongoing process, and it's a form of ibadah. Okay, continue to think of it as a form of ibadah, and you will be successful, inshallah. Okay, Jazakumullahu khairan. Thank you all, and stay in the group. Send me any messages if you need any direct one-on-one coaching tips, and I will see you as we continue through the process. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.